Good evening. I'm going to talk today about the financially unintelligent, financially blue pill individuals. And the title is The Elite Loves These Individuals. And the reason they love them is very much because they keep the system going, they keep the system flowing, they keep the system above the people that are in the elite circles or um the top 20%. They keep them pretty much unchallenged and well endowed with their finances. They don't have to worry about these individuals challenging them or even their children, because they just don't have the tools, the financial intelligence to actually do anything about their situation. And this is part of the modern school system. I mean, if you had to blame um why this exists, it's the modern school system for sure. Uh People that don't have financial intelligence, and what do I mean by financial intelligence? Okay, lacking the understanding of basic the tools that people that don't have financial intelligence they embody, and they keep the system going because the elites don't get challenged. Pretty much only only thing they have to worry about is the government just not screwing things up and raising taxes on them, because one of the ways that generations ago the government used to get money from the rich was tax them. It was like a 90 percentile tax rate, I think around World War II. If you made a bunch of money and you were wealthy, you were taxed heavily, you know up to like 90%. And that paved, the basically the government, in order they made the government fund projects like the Hoover Dam, the highway from the East Coast to the West Coast, Route 66. A lot of funding came from basically using that kind of aggressive tax code. That is a way to kind of redistribute wealth. Then basically had the Reagan administration chop up the tax rate, and it favored it for the wealthy, and talked about some trickle down economics. Well, we already know that was just a laugh. That was comedy. That was just a comedy bar. That during that time people probably believed it, but I mean 40 years later we do know. I mean, Reagan is dead and gone, but we know that was just comedy. There was no trickle down economics. The only trickle down economics you ever got was whatever pennies you picked up off the floor. And pretty much that was just something that was said that sound good. Like, people might think, oh yeah, well, the rich start pissing, we'll just collect the rain, but it wasn't rainwater, it was actually piss. That's what trickling down on your ass was rich people pissing on you. So, nonetheless, this is basically, um, it's a lot of reasons why the society is the way it is. I don't really choose to. I have made it a standard to not really talk too much about other stuff like relationships and all of that types of stuff, because and even politics and even race relations and all of that shit. Like, because at the end of the day, the money, the economic controls in this system in this country is the major topic of any conversation. Um, Financial economic control is one of the major causes of concern for me. I don't have any problems per se with relationships like that. Like, I mean, most of the problems that I've always had, and I think most people have had, was financially related. It's not like, if you give people money, or if they have opportunities to get money, or um they're able to get money easily, they're not going to have too much of a concern about how to peacock to get the best woman, or where to go, or how to get there. Like, those things are not a concern. For some people, maybe it might be a concern for relationships. I mean, obviously, I will say, if you do have money in this country, is because of the quality of the degradation of society. Is not that many quality women as they probably used to be back in earlier times. So, like, if you stumbled upon some wealth or riches tomorrow, and you were single, it's still going to be an issue, because there's a quality issue in America when it comes to women. But I'm not necessarily harping on that. I'm not talking about relationships, because there's other problems that are very, very much more of a problem than relationships. I would even say the reason why relationships is such a problem is because of these economic disparities in this country. That's why I get on my soapbox, and every now and again I talk about it, because one of the things that you can do is try to um, deal with financial problems and issues by having some type of financial system. My book, The Millionaire Savings Plan, it's a pretty good tool to use to get yourself to where, at the very least, you get away from being check to check, because a lot of people are living check to check, because they just don't have a good financial system. about that. I think I drifted off. I lost my connection. But what I was saying was a lot of people they don't see problem with having a car payment. They just don't think they don't think it's a problem. They don't see it as being abnormal. Like they that's like the status quo. You get a nice newer car and you pay a car payment. Your neighbor has a car payment. Your neighbor has a new car, they have a new car payment. Like people, that's one of the things that people do, and they wonder why they're stressing at the dinner table about bills and Jimmy and Jenny's financial future. And it's like, yeah, you don't see that $700 car payment that's smacking you right in the face every single month. You don't see that as being a problem. You don't see it. Now, housing, I'll give you a break on that. I'm not the reason why I went straight to cars. It's a reason why I went straight into car payments. And the reason why is I know people, they want to keep up with the status quo of having a nice new car. Like most people, they 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 want a nice new car and they're paying car payments. And that's one of the reasons they do that is to keep up with the Joneses. And you don't necessarily, the reason why I went right to cars is you don't have to have a car payment. I know people probably won't believe that. Probably certain people, they don't believe that. A lot of younger people, they don't understand that concept is not, they don't really understand that. You don't need a car. You don't like you do not need a car payment. Like you can get a car for $10,000 or less and it'll be fine. You get warranty coverage, pay like $100 a month or whatever. Um, and you're straight. Like, but people don't do that, you know. And here's the thing: this is just one of the many conversations I'm gonna be talking about. What people, the average person, doesn't do. This channel isn't for the average person. This channel is for the new elite, the new um small percentage of individuals that won't do what all of these blue pill people, these financially blue pill individuals are doing. Like if you one of the ways you can avoid being like everyone else is to not be like everyone else. And that's, not do stuff like that. You can't you can't justify. See, here's the thing, like one of the things about cars is it's a depreciating asset. Okay, this is what I tell people, right? You know, this is what I tell people. And if you got the money to be able to do it, do it. Try this experiment out. Go buy a brand new car, go pay cash for it, and then go try to sell that car for the same amount of money that you paid for or higher. That's my challenge to you, because most people, I would say, cannot do that in one form or fashion. They can't do that because basically nobody's going to give you the money most likely for that car and give you cash. The car companies depend on finance companies giving loans to people that can't afford to buy the car. That's what the car industry is built off of. I haven't been following the car industry. I would say that the car industry is, you know, is struggling from the little like titles of the videos that I've seen. I've heard that it basically is no improvement. It hasn't improved since the last time I did a video. Since the last video that I did about the car industry, it hasn't been no improvement. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's a new president in office or a president that, you know, is a different president is in office. The car industry is still struggling. People are not buying cars like that. Okay. It's just, you know, the one of the reasons that people are not buying cars is because the average person's cash flow has not improved. You know, people are financially struggling, and also people are also getting laid off. The economy is not robust for a masses for the masses. Some people are making money, but a lot of people are struggling. So when people are struggling, they're not trying to buy brand new cars. But the point is, you you shouldn't be trying to buy a brand new car. But you know, the thing is the reason why people do that is because that's like a standard. It's a standard. It's I want to even say it's a middle class standard that what people do, and it's one of the reasons why people get stuck. If you think about it, right, what does the average car cost? 35 to $45,000 a year, or even higher. Just think about this: every 4 or 5 years, you go out and buy a car for $50,000. So let's say for on average every 5 years you get in a car because you follow the status quo. That's what your parents did. That's what you seen your parents do. You grow up and do the same thing. You know, to fit in with your friends, you go out and have mimosas. You have a nice newer car that you pay a car payment and you pay full coverage insurance for. So basically, you get a new car every about 5 years. Say it's about 50 grand. So for 20 years, a 20-year period, you've spent $200,000, over $200,000 on cars, on various cars that you've had. You literally just robbed yourself of any type of wealth opportunity. In that 20-year span, you've robbed your financial future with just the fact that your decisions, that your blue pill decision making on buying cars with credit, with interest rates and car payments. You literally just robbed yourself 200,000, over $200,000 in 20 years. 10 years, $100,000. Now just think, what if you saved that money and did something else? Like bought some pallets, Amazon returns, or Walmart returns, and then resold them. Instead of you losing $100,000, okay, you probably make $1 million off of that $100,000 if you put it into something that would make you money. Like if you instead of putting $50,000 into a car, you put $50,000 into some real estate, and then rented the house out, or flip the house or something. Now, instead of you losing $100,000, losing $50,000, you're making actual money off of your money. See, the thing is this, right? the greatest robbery that ever been pulled is you trying to basically use rich people's money via credit and paying triple and double, the amount of what you would normally pay cash for something using credit, and then believing that you're going to off of depreciation assets, might I add, and thinking that you're going to have a bright financial future doing that. And it's like, unfortunately, that's not how that works. Your money is either enriching yourself or keeping you poor. And the blue pill person, the financially unintelligent, they use their money to basically keep themselves poor. And that's why the elites love the financially unintelligent. They love those people. You know, I mean, people come on here talking about relationships and all this other type of stuff. When they got car payments, they got car payments, man. And they hoping that you give them as many super chats and cash apps as as you can muster, so they can pay for those car payments. They don't come over here, and they might no, they don't engage with me or anything like that. They don't engage, or they don't talk about anything financially. They just keep it to themselves. But I know most people fall in this category. Most people are financially blue pill. They you talk about relationships and stuff when it comes to the blue pill and the red pill. But the blue pill and red pill is all encompassing. People are financially blue pill, very, very blue pill. And this is something that the elite love. The status quo loves that you want to keep up with all of the other poor people. You want to impress your friends, your poor friends, your middle class, so-called middle class friends with your brand new car loan. It's not a car. You didn't buy the car. You bought a car loan. You have a car loan. You don't own the car. I just paid my car off. I own all my cars now. You know, they need to be repaired. They need to be put in the auto shop, but I own them. I don't have anybody else that can call me talking about where's the car payment. Well, when you got a car payment for however many years and months, you got to make sure that car payment is paid every single month. And cars are a dime a dozen. I don't even know why people are so fixated about cars. Like, I mean, I'm fixated about, well, I like houses. That's my thing. I love real estate. Cars, I like cars too, but not as much as I like real estate. I prefer to focus on real estate more than cars. I'm crazy about houses and real estate. Cars, I don't really care too much. As long as the car drives pretty good, it's decent. I mean, I have my certain type of cars that I like, but real estate is way more important than cars. And it just that's not really a big focus of mine. I think once you actually become, financially a certain level, then cars, you can have your way with cars. You can buy the rarest cars, you can buy the most expensive cars you want. Once you got, millions of dollars in the bank, you can buy whatever car you want. It won't be a big deal, you know. But I think that it comes a time, you got to get to that point where you can have it like that, where cars are not a big deal. But when most people, they kill themselves from that reality by getting car payments. Like that, like I say, that getting a $50,000, loan on a car, paying a $50,000 car loan every 5 years. Well, that kills, the average person. That's 10% of their income, or 20% of their income, or something like that, or their um that's their income for a full year. They're putting it into a car, paying it off in 5 years or less. That's crazy. That's why people a lot of times don't have any money. And that's one of the major reasons people live check to check. If you live in check to check because you got a brand new car, I think you should I think you should smack yourself. Literally smack yourself. Because the primary reason why you live in check to check is because you want a new car, for whatever reason that you want that, because you want to keep up with everybody and so on and so forth. Like that's just foolish. And I know people need a car, but I mean, it's like, to get a brand new car. To be honest, I'm gonna keep it up. In my humble opinion, brand new cars, the car dealerships, in my opinion, are for rich people. In my opinion, only rich people. The reason being is they're very expensive, they're not affordable, and the reason they're not affordable is because most people, in order to get one, you got to get a car loan to be able to get it, and you got to pay, the car off, and the car is expensive. You got to put a down payment for the car, and then your car payment is based off your interest rate. A lot of people have really bad credit, so then your interest rate is like 18 to 20 something percent, which is almost, that's basically a subprime loan. They have subprime car loans. They even have subprime house mortgages. But yeah, when your interest rate is like over like 10%, like, really, to be honest, 7%, you got a subprime car loan. And a lot of people, if you ask them what's your interest rate on your car loan, they wouldn't be able to tell you. They wouldn't even be able to tell you what their interest rate is on their car. They'd have to find their binder with, where they got their car from. At the dealership, they give you a binder with your loan agreement. They have to find that to find out what their car interest is. So they don't know. And then usually, if they don't know, that means that the interest rate is above 10%, above 15%. It might be 18 to 20 something percent APR. Already off top, if your credit rate, your credit score is like anywhere between 500, or even, let's just say, 400 to 600, you already have a car. Most likely your car loan, your interest rate is 18 to 20 something percent guaranteed. Ask me how I know. So yeah, the elite profit from your financial ignorance. The wealthy and powerful benefit when the masses lack financial literacy. When the masses are financially blue pill and they start, they start arguing about identity politics, and they come up with all of these acronyms and they join these movements. It's because they're financially frustrated and broke and they don't know what else to do. They don't because people that have money, they really just want to be left alone. They want a vacation, want to have a good time. They don't have any time to be joining movements and being online and shit like that. Trying to enjoy their life and their family and their children, not trying to be online, worried about identity politics and bullshit like that. All the other stuff that just don't have anything to do with anything. Those things don't have a don't like the reason there's foreigners in the black community, foreign owned businesses in the black community, doesn't have anything to do with identity politics. It doesn't have anything to do with Tether and FBA. It has something to do with the fact that you allow foreigners to occupy your neighborhoods, and you don't have any other choice but to go to their businesses because you don't have businesses of your own kind. You don't have enough um unity to support other people like yourself that just come from the same type of culture that you have, and the willingness to even open the business and even support that person's business, because a lot of black people hate each other. The hatred that black people have is very, very much something that should be studied, and it is very, very profound. And one of those hatreds is, I don't want to support you. I don't like to support you because I don't want to see you doing well, you know, because you you they hate other people. They hate people that look like themselves. That's why they, want to go to other people and other cultures, and they don't have any problem supporting non-blacks because they hate themselves. They have a self-hatred complex. And other people feed off of that self-hatred and they make money off of that self-hatred. And at the end of the day, if you really cared about yourself and your particular people and culture, you would have businesses, your business acumen and your business dealings would showcase that. You do not really like yourself and your people, so in your business uh businesses or lack thereof supports that analogy. It supports that dynamic that you don't really like yourself and don't really like supporting people that look like yourself. So that's why the business issues and lack of employment issues follow, you know, from every black neighborhood to that see the same dynamic. Foreigners in that community with businesses that are really easily, if you really think about it, very easy to have. Okay, a restaurant, you could start a restaurant for about $30,000 to $50,000. A convenience store that doesn't have a gas station attached to it, $10,000 to $15,000 to start it, with the required licenses and stuff like that. You want a little small grocery store with freezers, maybe um, livestock and all of that type of stuff. Might be about 100 grand or more, little small grocery store. But black people have a problem with starting businesses and actually being, black people have a really if you had to say who's the most who has the who's the most financially blue pill, it's black people. Black people are the most financially blue pill people that I know. I mean, even like, when you look at the underworld, the underworld economy, like black people, doing, underworld activities like selling drugs and stuff like that. If you look at everybody else that did underworld activity and do underworld activity now, they mix they launder their money into legitimate businesses. The reason why a lot of black people that, are hood or ghetto and thugged out, that, they go to jail and they, don't have any upward mobility, it's because that's all they know how to do. They don't really know how to legitimize their underworld activities into legitimate businesses. They don't know how to launder money. The Italians, they knew how to launder money. They knew how to legitimize. Everybody else, the Irish, the Jews, black people still stuck in the hood selling drugs. And it's like, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, they are attacked or arrested at a higher rate, but I mean, still, you wonder why a lot of people just get stuck selling drugs, and then they get caught, and then they come home and they don't have anything else. They don't have nothing that, they can call on, or they looking for people to do favors for them, to owe them and all of that, because they didn't know how to legitimize their business. You look at the Kennedys. Kennedys was started by their father being a bootlegger in the Prohibition days. Took that money, legitimized it into businesses. Now, the Kennedy family is one of the wealthiest families in North America, because their father did some illegal stuff. The grandfather did some illegal activities, legitimized those illegal activities into legal business activities, and the rest is history. And it's like, yeah, it's really sad, because these are quote unquote my people too, but and I have to call it out, and it's not something that I get a big fanfare of. People don't like to be called out. Now people are going to have to be forced into business or illegitimacy or whatever, because you know this is not looking too good. People are getting laid off, people being targeted. Not something new for black people, but they getting laid off and people losing their jobs. People gonna have to make a living. So what's gonna come from that, I don't know. But the thing is this: that's what the elite, that's the game that the elite wants you to do, is just be continuously financially blue pill, financially illiterate. I don't care. I don't really, like I say, you could talk about relationships and what women do and what men do and why this and why that. I mean, it all comes back to the money. It all comes back to the money. What do if you think about economics, in how things are controlled and everything like that, it's based off of a lot of it, who has money and who doesn't. If you got money, you can go and do whatever you got to do. You got enough money and resources to start and have a stable family, live in a stable community, so on and so forth. If you don't, a lot of things probably will be a struggle for you. Okay, I'm not saying that you couldn't get through it, but It's gonna be a struggle, most likely. And who wins in this scenario? The elite win. Predatory lending, high interest debt, hidden fees targeted for the financially uninformed. People are financially uninformed. Like, it's not like I became the person I am to be financially, blue, red pill or black pill by just going to Harvard or Yale or Rutgers. No, that was not my story. I read, I researched, I studied, researched some more, read more, and over time you start picking things up. I mean, it'll probably take you about 10 to 20 years. Good 10 to 20 years of just diligent reading, research, just engaging yourself into the financial world, engaging with other people that are in the financial world. After about a good, 5-10 years, you'll be an unnoticeably or a noticeably more financially intelligent individual. It just takes your effort to be like, no, this is not something that you just have to be. You don't have to look at it like, oh, well, I gotta, people go to accounting school and then they're, they deal with all of this, and I'll just stay out of it and just let them be them. No, you can learn. I'm not saying you gotta be a CPA. I'm saying you need to learn financial literacy. You need to learn how to manage a budget, basically control your spending, automate your savings. You need to learn how to basically come up with some type of financial system in order to to manage your debts and manage your expenses and manage your savings and have financial goals and certain things like that. Basically, I mean, I call it the 3M system, money mindset, money management, and momentum. Money management is all of that I just said, basically managing your money. I did a live stream about that. It's in my, if you look up 3M, my 3M system, I got 3M videos, talks a lot about what the 3M system is. I mean, that's a start. I did the lead work for you. You could apply these videos and in real time change your life. These videos are for the uninitiated blue pill people that are financially blue pill to basically learn how to um, be more financially literate. That's what these videos are for. I know I've been all over the place and I've done live streams about social issues and relationship issues, even sex, and I'm all over the place. But at the very center, this is a financial channel. Yeah, I do little funny videos. I'm a pretty good video editor, you know. For some reason or another, that little short video, it got like over 500,000 views. I did not know it was gonna get 500,000 views. I thought it was very funny. That video, now that I'm monetized, that one video made me over $100. Just that one video, which is crazy. A short at that, just a short video made me over $100, which is cool because okay, maybe I can, I could justify this whole YouTube thing. Now I can, I could pay my internet bill, maybe my cell phone bill. But the thing with like certain things that make money, it's not serious unless you can, they say, and I'm not the only one that says this, when whatever you do, if it makes money for you to be able to like buy a car, that's when you know you're making some money. Like if you making money from YouTube to where you could buy you a car, like which is probably say like 15 to 20,000 or something like that, buy you a used car, then you know you're doing something. Whatever you're doing, if you selling quilts, if you selling honey, whatever, you're doing enough to where you could buy you a car, you on to something, because you could take that money and invest it, and then then you could probably have enough money to buy a house, if you're smart enough. Investing is a part of financial intelligence. It's kind of advanced because you basically taking your money and making more money with that. Kind of have to know what people want. You have to study charts a little bit. Study what people are actually looking for. You can't kind of have to do a little bit of due diligence in order to kind of be an investor. But that's how you can actually grow your money, especially if you don't really have a lot of money, to start. Investing can kind of build that up for you, build up that momentum. But yeah, consumerism keeps people poor. I've said that from start. I talked about the cars. Elite promote a culture of excessive spending and instant gratification. The music, right? I remember. When I was in high school, it was a hit song. I think I graduated high school. I was about a year out of high school, I think, by then. And Jay-Z and Jermaine Dupri had a song, and it was called Money Ain't a Thing. And that turned out to not age well on Jermaine Dupri's part. Money was very much a thing for Jermaine Dupri. For Jay-Z, that bold truth. Okay. He kind of, he was able to grow his income and I mean grow his money, his wealth, his riches and to wealth. Jermaine Dupri, not so much. Not so much. Jermaine Dupri pretty much failed as a businessman, and spent a lot of money in strip clubs. He probably has pictures in the strip clubs and probably, you know, I don't know, probably is on a Hall of Fame and some probably Atlanta strip clubs because he spent so much money in the strip clubs, right? And money was a thing. Money very much was a thing for Jermaine Dupri. It might have felt like it wasn't a thing back then because he was making a lot of money. He had a lot of artists that he was producing, and over the years he produced a lot of big acts like SWV. He basically produced a lot of songs for different artists. Even one time he was dating Janet Jackson, made songs for her. Um, he was pretty much a producer and had a record label, so he was making money, but um he wasn't able to keep that momentum going. Jay-Z was able to keep that momentum going. Jermaine Dupri, not so much. Okay, not so much. Jay-Z went out of the music industry into other ventures. Jermaine Dupri just had a few restaurants or whatever. I don't really know what businesses he had, but um he didn't do so well on the business side. But the culture, the music they promote excessive spending and instant gratification. Social media and advertising manipulate people into buying things they don't need with money that they don't have. Keeping up with the Joneses mentality keeps people in debt while corporations profit. You know, Keeping, Susie has a new car. I want a new car. Jim has a new car. I want a new car. Then you have wage slavery that exacerbates this. People are actually following people that don't have 9 to 5 jobs, and they're trying to live through people that don't have 9 to 5 jobs. They have a desire to live like those individuals that are in the business, that have businesses, have LLCs, and they have a 9 to 5, but they want to have a life just like the person that has that basically is a businessman or woman. The people, the system discourages financial education to keep people dependent on paychecks. They want you to basically be financially blue pill to keep you dependent on uh, constant, steady paychecks from working a 9 to 5, wage slavery. Schools don't teach money management, ensuring most will remain employees and rather than wealth builders for the rest of their life. It's a wealth building channel. Okay. I mean, this is what this channel is. This channel is about wealth building, financial literacy, financial red pill or black pill. That's what this channel is about. This channel is for wealth building. We don't worry about cars. We worry about real estate, wealth building. We worry about gold prices, stocks, real estate, all things investing, future contracts, options, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, LLCs, insurance, all things financially related. This is what this channel is about. I mean, this is the core of this channel. For all of the people. Also, I had a lot of people subscribe. I literally like this shit is crazy. Like I went from like six. I went from 6,000 to over 8,000 subscribers just by making a fire ass, just by editing a short. I swear to God, that's what happened. Like a fire ass short took me, catapulted this channel to I got over 8,000 subscribers. So yeah, I mean, I just, this live stream is just to remind you the very core of this channel is financial um education primarily. Financial awareness, wealth building, like I say, generational wealth. That's what this channel is about. So don't get it twisted. You are in the right place. That's all you need to know. You're in the right place. Okay. So when it comes to stock market and Wall Street manipulation, the elite control the market narratives, exploiting retail investors who lack knowledge, pump and dump schemes, insider trading, and hedge fund manipulations hurt small investors. Example, mean stock surges like GameStop expose how Wall Street profits from misinformation. I mean, you supposed to know about financial education. First of all, I could just tell you when you are considering getting into stocks, I invest in the stocks. I am very much on an advanced level at this point. I'm almost ready to start doing algorithmic trading, machine learning trading. I'm getting very, very close to that point. And I will say AI is making it easier for me to get to that point. Now, I've made my own scanners. Right now, I'm making my own stock scanners with certain indicators. Now, You reach out to me, I could make some for you as well. I could sell you some of mine. Um, another thing is, uh, another thing is you have to set one of the things that you could, the takeaways if you're trying to get into trading. One of the things that you need to remember is stop loss, and stop loss. You have to have your stop loss. Once you set your stop loss, that's it. Like basically always have your stop loss. You know, what I do, I'll give you a technique of what I do. So let's say you find a fire stock for today. You find a stock and it goes through the roof. Like, okay, like last week I had a pretty good stock, went through the roof. And what I do is I initially set my stop order at below the price, obviously a little bit below the price. But what I do is when the stock goes up, I modify the stop order because that's what it's called, a stop order, right? I modify the stop order to go above whatever the price is, slightly above whatever the current asking price for that stock. When it goes up, I modify it. I don't just set the stop order and just leave it like that. No, because you'll lose money. Because okay, let's say for example, you're trading GE. You buy in the GE for $35. And I don't know what the price of GE. I'm just saying a general price, just off of just to explain what I'm talking about. So you set the price for 35. You buy about 10 shares of GE for $35. And then you set the stop loss for $34.50. So if GE goes below $34.50, it's going to trigger that stop order. So what I'm saying is, if GE goes up, let's just say they go up 10%, which would be they go up $3.50. So now GE is trading at $38 a share. Have had a good day, and you on the benefit end of that. So you don't just keep the same original stop order at $34.50. You go modify the original order to like 37.25 or something like that. So if it goes back down between the high of the day of 10%, then it's going to trigger, and you're going to make a profit. You won't go back down to what you paid for or below what you paid for the stock. You'll actually, once it triggers that stop order, it'll trigger for profit. You'll be still in profit once it triggers that stop order, if it does. And I don't care if it keeps going higher. Let's just say it started at 10%, it goes to 20%. So it's trading at like instead of 38, it's trading at like 41 a share. Okay, you go in and you modify that order again to change it to $40.50. So basically, you just keep modifying the order depending on if the stock goes up high. If it goes up high, you keep modifying the order. So that's my $1 million worth of game that I just gave you right there. All right. So that's how you do that. But you always have your stop loss. So anywho, moving along, governments, banks, and corporations encourage debt, student loans, credit cards, mortgages, Debt keeps people compliant, afraid to quit jobs or challenge the system. You know, debt is that's one of the burdens that people have is debt. That's why it's one of the reasons why people keep working and everything like that because they got massive amounts of debt. Rising household debt ensures continuous labor and wage slavery and also consumption. Education systems failure. Schools teach obedience and memorization, not financial independence. Critical skills like investing, taxes, entrepreneurship are rarely part of schools' curriculums, like K through 12. Many graduates understand literature, but not compound interest. That's a problem. Um, Albert Einstein said compound interest is one of the seventh wonders of the world. That's what he said about compound interest. The elite's monopoly on wealth building knowledge. Wealthy families pass down financial strategies. The masses rely on trial and error. Expensive financial advisors and exclusive investment opportunities are gate kept. Private equity and hedge funds are mostly accessible only to the rich. Yes, some of these hedge funds, they have very good systems and platforms that they utilize and they make their clients a lot of money. Some of them have requirements for thresholds like you have to have at least $10 million to invest with the hedge fund. Like they have requirements like that. Like a lot of people, and that's a way for them to gatekeep, and that's a way for the rich to stay rich because you don't even have money to even put into a hedge fund. They have requirements. You have to have a minimum of a certain amount. But you don't worry about that. You create your own hedge fund. That's some, that's something right there that you can do. You create your own hedge fund. You build your own hedge fund, your own private hedge fund. Um, Media distractions and financial literacy. Mainstream media focus on entertainment over financial education, celebrity culture, and materialism. That's what I said before. People following Instagram people, that don't even work 9 to 5 jobs, but they try to mimic them and be like them. And they want to spend like them. They have the desire to spend like them and live like them, but they're workers. They're not even entrepreneurs. So why would a 9 to 5 individual, a worker, want to um try to mimic someone that's basically an entrepreneur? There's two different parties, two different um things. If you're an entrepreneur, you have a particular lifestyle, you have certain concerns, you have certain struggles. If you're a worker, 9 to 5 or salary, your struggles, your life is different. So trying to be like an entrepreneur when you have a job is it's madness, but that's what people do. Celebrity culture, and materialism distract from wealth building strategies, right? Because you have to have a different strategy if you're a worker or if you're, an employee versus someone that's an entrepreneur. They have a different strategy because it's a difference between the two. So if you are an employee, you probably need a different financial strategy than an entrepreneur or someone that has a small business. It's a different type of strategy, right? More people know about Kardashians than index funds like QQQ and the SPX and the Russell 2000. If these, things don't, you know, ring a bell to you, and then you know about the Kardashians, that is an indication that you are definitely financially blue pill. How do you break this cycle? How to break this cycle? Well, first, pay attention. Look, listen, and learn, right? You pay attention to channels like myself, my channel, and basically um you take the initiatives and the steps on becoming more financially educated. And then over time, you're going to increase your financial education. That's one just short end of it. That's how you do it. So promote financial educations in schools and communities. That's one of the initiatives that you should bring forth to your congressman, to your representative, to your senator. Bring forth financial education in schools and communities. Start workshops. It's something that I could do. I could just, try to start workshops in my local area or community to promote financial literacy, right? Encourage critical thinking about money, debt, and consumerism. It's one of the reasons why I come on here at different times of the day, mostly at night, because I'm a night owl, to talk about financially related things, because I know most broke people, they're not, and I do the opposite of what broke people do. Okay. They don't talk about finances at 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. They don't do that. And that's one of the reasons why I know I'm in the right place of mind and I'm in the right spirit, because I'm doing what most people don't. That's one of the reasons why that most people are, not wealthy. This is the statistics on millionaires in America. Only 1% of Americans are millionaires. Okay. So I'm doing what most people are not doing. That's why I know I'm on the right path. Okay. Secondly, or thirdly, support policies that increase transparency in banking and investments. Okay. That's one of the things that could be done. Uh, another thing is the elite don't want you to learn how money works, because if you did, you'll stop playing by their rules. Okay. That is the gist of the conversation, and that's one of the things that I say. You worrying about trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to get new cars and paying car payments. That's something you could easily avoid. Now, I don't concern about the finance industry, car industry. The car industry is already going to they're already the car industry is already in trouble. Okay. Um it doesn't need me to talk about, stopping to buy brand new cars for it to plummet. It's already plummeting. Okay. So they don't need your little purchase ain't gonna save the car market. But the thing is that um I think cars are overpriced, grossly overpriced as well. And I think that, people pay too much for them and the interest rates are too high, and it could be avoided. The car purchases can be totally avoided. You can buy a new, you could buy a used car for like $5,000 or less, or $10,000 or less cash, and get a warranty coverage, cover any major repairs like transmissions, engine failures, and you'll be totally fine. Okay. Um, you know, you could focus more on a house or housing, and not worry about cars, and you'll be fine. You'll be more thinking about, your mindset will be more of someone that is financially red pill, because that is what a person that is financially red pill would do. They wouldn't have a car payment. They would pay for a car cash, and basically that they would move just like that. Their car payment wouldn't keep them living check to check, or um not being able to travel. Because you think about, okay, your car payment is like $700 a month. Literally every month you could go travel. That's money at the very least. If you wanted to just waste it and throw it down the drain, you could go to, basically, you could travel every month, literally, because that's enough money to travel every month. $700. At the very least, every couple months you could take a family vacation with that amount of money. Every 3 months you could take a family vacation, because that's how much money you're spending on car payments. That is like something you could totally avoid. Like, I don't get why people do it, but again, that's what most people are: financially unintelligent, financially blue pill, because they do things like that. But nonetheless, this is just kind of a video, impromptu video. I'm gonna close this on out. Uh, just something to think about, and I'll see you on the next video.